Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stitching Tales, a podcast about all things sewing and what it's really like to run a sewing business. I am Johanna Lundström of The Last Stitch.
And I am Malena Hjerpe of Hazelhen Patterns.
And today we're going to talk about something that we keep on returning to. We realized just before we start recording that we have more to say about this topic, and that is what?
Organizing your sewing space and how to get rid of things. Should you not? What to do? I mean, we both have went through a move, office move. And it's just, when you move, you realize how many things you have. And I get so, I don't know, stressed with too many things. Like it's, but I have so difficulties letting go of things as well. I get all of a sudden like really sentimental about every single piece. So, yeah, I think we both are a little bit fatigued now of decision like, should we not keep it, keep not, what to do?
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, because we started talking about just a thing like fabric scraps. I mean, obviously we like to save fabric scraps. It's good to have when you're making samples or you want to test stuff. But then you realize that maybe if you have like a piece of scrap that it's not big enough to make into anything, do you have to keep it year after year after year?
And I mean, we hear of these scrap busting projects, accessories, or like you stuff things with those. But like, I have never made a thing that I can stuff with. When the kids were small, I made like a baby nest. I mean, like a long pillow basically you had around the baby when they were sleeping. That one I stuffed with fabric. Really great for that one. It gave it some weight as well. But beside that, no, I don't know what to do with my scraps. And then you feel like really bad also if you throw them away. And when I say throw away, I mean give it to H&M, for example, who is collecting scrap fabrics. Should you donate it there but you feel like an environmental enemy when you throw away good stuff. You don't want to do that as well. So it's like really conflicting feelings.
Yeah, it's so hard, and especially, I don't know what it's like where you live, but I think in the beginning of the year we had a law here in Sweden that all textiles has to be recycled, and then it turned out there is no working system for recycling any fabrics. It was basically an absolute mess, it turned out. So now, at least here where I live in Gothenburg, until they have sorted out the system, it's back to burning fabrics, because all the like secondhand stores and manufacturers that were supposed to take care of that, they don't have the resources of doing this. So now it's like back to the just burn the fabric. So that's kind of makes it more complicated. So you're like, okay, so there is no way of recycling fabric. So if I'm going to, like here where I live, if I go to the recycling central, I have to basically, they're going to tell me to like throw it in the burn bin, basically.
First of all, that pisses me so off. Like, great that we are trying to be so environmental friendly, we're creating new laws, and it's like, hello, this is what the fashion business have been trying to, like, how can we use scrap fabrics, how can we use leftovers, how can we recycle fabrics? And when you do return fabrics to like these clothing stores that are collecting fabrics, I think I saw somewhere that like 3% of it is turned into new clothes. So it's not like a circular loop there that, you return one sweater, it will be a new sweater. Like, no. It's so few garments. Because the difficult part is that how can you recycle fibers from the garments when it's often blends? If it's 100% cotton, then it's much easier. 100% polyester, easier. But then it's usually a mix with 5-6% elastane, which is a synthetic fiber combined with cotton, which is a natural fiber, and those it's really difficult to recycle it then. So then it's like the whole fashion industry is like trying to work, like how figure it out, innovation, solutions, what to do. And the Swedish government is like, yes, let's create a law that you have to recycle it. It's like, yeah, how? Have you figured out? No? Okay, well, how are you gonna supposed to solve it then? They didn't.
Yeah.
And then we are back again to like square one. It's like, really? You couldn't think of that before? Come on.
I mean, it's like, can anyone tell it's kind of complicated to recycle fabrics, and we're not just talking textiles here, but garments. And at least here in Sweden, they were supposed to, like the secondhand stores or the thrift stores, they were supposed to take care of it, and then all of a sudden they were bombarded with unwearable, unsellable clothes, because obviously those are the clothes that you would have thrown away because they are broken or unrepairable.
Yeah, I think they also got a little bit scared, like, are we not gonna, like, how is this gonna, the mess, like, how is it gonna affect us? Like, are all garments gonna be thrown away as now, since it's a law that you have to throw them in the recycle bin, but the good stuff that you can sell again and wear again, like, that should still be given to the second-hand shop so they can sell it and use it again as it is. So it was really like confusing, like, what should you do with the garments that you don't want to wear? So now we are back again to we don't really know.
Exactly. So that brings it back to the point that if I, for instance, now if I don't have any way of scrap busting my small scrap fabric pieces, there's no point for me of delivering them to thrift store, because what should they do with a small piece of cotton jersey? I mean, you can't sew it into anything. So in my case, I'm gonna have to throw it on. It's gonna be burnt down. It will not be recycled the way the system works in the city that
you can, collect it in a bag and give it to clothing stores. Then you usually get like
so they are supposed to.
Yeah. You can.
Yeah,
you
so
can
it's
do
not
that
just
with small scraps, broken.
Okay,
stuff.
good to know.
Like not the dirty, like textiles, but like any kind of textiles, no matter. I mean, if it's good, give it to the second-hand store. If it's damaged, give it to the clothing stores so they can recycle. Usually, yes, it doesn't turn into new clothes, but you can still recycle it into stuffing for car seats, those kind of things.
Good.
And if it's dirty, then throw it away. Because that can contaminate the other textiles, so you don't want to do that. But yeah,
good to know.
Yeah, it's it's like then when you decided I don't want it anymore, where to put it? That's even a decision.
Yeah, so we're getting really technical here in the beginning of the podcast. I'm really curious to know what it's like in other countries, because I'm pretty sure that you and I, Malena, are probably not the only ones that are having these kind of problems. I mean, what do you do with scraps? I mean, for instance, what I did now in my throwaway bag is I had like small pieces of washed silk that I have been carrying from move to move to move to move for over 10 years. And I felt bad because it was silk, and it's really pricey to buy silk in Sweden. So I was like, I cannot throw away silk. And I'm like, what should I do? It's too small to do bias tape. And even if it was, I've had 10 years of not making bias tape. So is it going to happen now? Probably not. And I think that's, and I feel so bad because now I feel like I didn't fully utilize that piece of fabric. And now I was like, because as this weekend I was like, I have to get rid of this. I mean, I don't have the space for all these kind of tiny scraps that might be helpful. I don't know. Do you have like a cutoff day? I mean, 5 years, 10 years? Like how do we know when it's a lost cause? In this case, it was over 10 years, I think, since I actually bought those fabrics.
Yeah. No, I also have a big plastic bag with like full of scraps or like a little bit that maybe you can sew a kid's beanie out of it or something. But now I've just sorted like this I don't want to keep. I'm still gonna sort it out and give with fun child prints on, like kids friendly print, how do you say. I'm gonna give that to my son's preschool or kindergarten, so they can, just play with it, cut, glue, whatever. I think I'm gonna do also, when it's like good fabric, quite big pieces that you can definitely sew on. So something of, I think I'm gonna post it on my Instagram and ask like, does anyone want it? Come and collect it. I will not drive anywhere to drop it off, but like if you want it, come and collect it for free. Like I just want to get rid of it. And then the things that are like nobody's gonna do anything, I'm gonna give that to the clothing store too, so they can recycle it. I just want to get rid of it now. It's just a weight on my shoulder, like what to do with it.
Yeah, I know, even though it's like out of sight, because the only thing we are reminded now, because both you and I had just moved our sewing spaces. So to me, this question always pop up every time I have to like shift my stuff, because as long as I have ample space, I don't really feel too bad about it. But now when I had to run through all the boxes, I'm like, what? I mean, there were lots of boxes that I just like scraps. I couldn't even like close the lid. And it was like walking down the memory lane of the last 15 years of sewing. And I was like, okay, why? Why did I save this? And I do scrap busing sometimes, for making mittens or a knit cap or something like that. But it's always, some fabrics aren't suitable for that particular project as well. And you do want to work with the right type of fabric. I think that's one of the problems as well, that when we do things, we have a very specific need. And even if we were to do maybe a sample and try out stitches, well, we want to try out stitches on the kind of fabric that we intend to use for the project, not a completely different jersey fabric so it's really
exactly.
difficult to
there's just
think about.
Not so many things you can do with those kind of fabrics, so it's just it's a hassle.
Yeah. So I'm really curious as to how do people deal with this problem, and I think it's good to talk about, because and in sewing in general, because it is a very material intensive hobby. And not just fabrics, but, sewing thread, needles, tools. I mean, over the years, it started to accumulate. And also, I'm sure a lot of you, because we talked about that before we started recording, is that since people know that you sew, you're sometimes offered things like an old sewing machine, maybe some fabric, maybe a box of all the zippers from the 60s, and you're like, oh, I don't need all this stuff. Maybe I want to try to sew a zipper once, but it's not that I have a lack of zippers. That's not my main problem. I think I'm going to post a photo on our Instagram, Stitching Tales photo. So everyone can see that zippers is not a lack in the last stitch sewing space
of it.
No, I don't think.
Usually need like a particular length of it, color and quality, so it matches your product as well. So it's really and also when it comes down to it, we both run businesses. This is our job. If it's a hobby, then it's another thing. Time-wise, you can spend time on certain things or not, just because you want and enjoy it. That's perfectly fine if it's a hobby. But this is our job, and we need to focus our precious time on what really moves the needle. How do we bring in the money? Unfortunately, because we need to have a salary to be able to survive. So dealing with these things is just time consuming when we need to focus on what really can help us in our business. So that's also really balanced, and I kind of hate that it become to this you don't want to, you don't have time really to deal with all these materials, do something useful out of it. It comes like, what's more important, time or the environment in the end? But like, yeah, you need to find a good balance there, because again, it's our business. We need to focus our time correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. And I think that's something that one has to think about a lot, because everything generates waste. And I guess the difference for us as sewists is that we see the waste, but we don't see the waste that comes when we buy something ready to wear, or a pair of new jeans or whatever. So we don't have to ask those questions. And then now we're very reminded of, and that's probably why we feel so bad about it, because I really feel bad, and I feel almost like embarrassed now we're talking about this. I should say, oh, I recycle everything. Oh, I'm the zero waste pattern maker. I'm like, nope, I'm just not. It's hard.
That's a little bit funny with, like a side note, zero waste patterns. Okay, in general, I think those who work with zero waste patterns and want to sew with them, I mean, they probably, I'm gonna say, have a very like high awareness of the environmental impact, and like really want to do the best they possibly can. But when it comes to zero waste patterns, I don't understand, like, how are they so much like more environmental friendly compared to a regular pattern?
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends. Like, if it's a dress, for example, and you use 2 meters, 2 yards for the regular pattern, and use the same amount for the zero waste pattern, it's still the same amount of fabric that has been used for one garment. Sure, there's a waste on the regular pattern, but in the end, when the garment is worn, repaired, worn again, and then in the end thrown away, it's still same amount of fabric that has been used. So
you bring up a very good point. It's a very good. It's kind of a little bit.
If it's zero waste, like but then you use half a yard less fabric. Great, then that's an actual effect. But if it's same amount, then it's like, but it's it's equal, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Then. It's the same amount of resources, same amount of cotton has to be grown and dyed and colored and whatnot. And also, I'm gonna put myself out on a limb now. Zero waste police, please don't come after me. But I will say, and I will die on this hill. Some of these kind of trends are a little bit gimmicky, I will say, in terms of style. And I know but I have to be brave. And so to me, not always the most wearable garments. And again, putting time and effort into construction and making sure that it fits well and it's a good, not just a zero waste pattern, if that makes sense. That is also a sustainable way of approaching creating things. So just because you didn't have any scraps from the fabric, if you don't wear that garment year after year after year, I mean, again, it's what we're trying to say here is it's not that zero waste is bad, but it's much more complicated.
I 100% agree with you there. It really depends on what is your personal style. If that kind of garments are your thing, perfect. I mean, then it's a great match, and you will use them a lot. Great, and you won't maybe make so many more new garments because you are so happy with the ones that you got. Perfect. I mean, that's the end goal. But if that's, usually they are a little bit more boxy, oversized, maybe not all of them, but usually to be able to, I mean, use all that fabric. It is a certain silhouette, I would say.
Exactly.
You can't get the tight fitted garments with these kind of patterns. And if you prefer that kind of silhouette, that kind of fit, then I mean, these type of pattern are maybe not for you. And I think in the end, the best product, the best garment for you is more important. And if that is cutting away fabric to make a really nice armhole shape so it fits you nicely, isn't that better then? If you prefer that type of fit. Sure, it's a little bit waste now, but you are gonna wear and like the garment more. So no, then I don't see an issue at all with, I mean, like it's more for me. Fit is more important, so it fits you the way you want it to be compared to this. I can't throw anything away. Well, in the end, when the garment is worn, you're gonna throw away the whole garment then. So, yeah, it's complicated. It's not like
complicated.
Yeah.
So I don't think everyone automatically should get like a tap on the shoulder just because. And I think I have a similar gripe with. I don't think it's as popular now, but when you took maybe a second-hand garment, maybe oversized, and then you cut it into, which it's a really creative and fun project, and you could see a lot of like YouTube tutorials, and so it's a very interesting and really it's a really fun way of doing things. But in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, this was a really fun project to watch and see, and you were really smart with how you utilized that garment. But honestly, let's get back to it in a year, and I will love to know how many times you actually wore that garment, because again, it's a little bit tricky because a lot of those projects, because of the limitations around it, can again maybe not be the most well-fitted wearable garment because you had to work with that. So it's again, I think it's so I totally admire the creativity, but I'm still like that's probably not always such an like sustainable way of doing things, because it's going to end up in the bin for a lot of reasons eventually anyway. So
it's really, and what to do with all those garments that you made yourself a long time. I mean, I still have not everything collected from when I was in school. I mean, like fashion school when I studied. Most projects I still have saved. When can I get rid of them?
Yes, those are the worst. I know.
Yeah, because I put them down. I mean, I worked so hard on, like, I spent so much time, effort, and everything on them. I will never ever wear them. Here, like, my sentimental issues comes out. Like, what to do with them?
Yeah, oh, those are so hard, and especially if even if I would leave them to a thrift store, they maybe not ever find a new owner, and then it's like all gone, like that part of your life. I'm the same way. I have a couple of garments that I made as in my late teens that I simply cannot get rid of because of that thing.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, but I guess that's because you put, it's your hand in it, and it's easier with garments that, start to deteriorate, what's the word, like breaking down or just becoming unwearable or don't, but even with these clothes that don't even fit me anymore, if I've sewn them myself, I can't really get rid of it. No. I mean, and that is I totally get you. It's so weird. I mean, this we do produce so much stuff at the end.
Yeah,
and the same thing. Yeah, because I also remember now. I think we got a question a while back on one of our channels that what do we do with the samples? Because that's another problem, right? Like when we develop new patterns, I mean, you usually have to go through a couple of not every will be a wearable sample that will go into like your wardrobe. There will be some hits and misses for sure, even though we put a lot of effort in making sure that everything is like nicely done, because you don't really know until you put the garment on the body if it's actually going to work, even if you put a lot of research and prep work. So I mean, that's the same. I've thrown away a fair bit of because those are not wearable. No one else will want them either. I mean,
No, and
so so the answer, if you ask me, yes, I have thrown away samples.
I throw away all my samples. I mean,
Mm.
throw away. I give them to the clothing store so they can recycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's then I use all the weird colored fabrics that I've usually got handed to me, or I bought on a super sale or something. So I use my I use my scrap fabrics for those kind of projects, and then I feel like really, thank God I did something with the fabric, and now I can let it go in good conscience because they served a purpose. They were not made to be used. So sure, it feels a little bit wasteful, but they serve a higher purpose because then I can secure the fit for like all the sizes. So fingers crossed, people will not waste their fabric then when they sew the garment. So that's how I justify this. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. And I try to always, when I develop a new pattern, I really put a lot of effort into getting the measurements right and check all those things out and just try to do a lot of research work as much as possible to reduce the amount of samples. But we also have to remember that in the garment industry, it's the same way. I mean, you know that, Malena.
Yeah,
I mean, I would assume that usually when you develop a new style, I guess it's a few rounds of samples before it goes into production, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we try to get as few samples as possible. We try, obviously, to get it right the first time, but that rarely happens. I mean, we have to. It's a working process to get everything exactly what we want with the fabric we want. So it takes a couple of samples. With programs like Clo 3D, when you can make a 3D garment and try it on an avatar in the computer, you can get a so much better first sample, but you have to have samples that you try on, that you wear, that a fitting model is wearing, because to remove that, what are you gonna make an order on, for example, 10,000, 100,000 garments without having tried them on? Like, that's risky. What if something is wrong and then that whole order is useless? So in that sense, I have no problems with samples because it secures the bulk production. That's good. So there I'm not trying to be too how do you say, I'm not saving on the samples. It's that's how we secure best products.
Yeah.
So don't be cheap on them. Like you really need to make samples.
Yeah, I totally agree. And sometimes I'm able to reuse, for instance, when I developed the Vide pants, the first one I used like a really inexpensive Ponte di Roma that is like and I wear that as my like home pants. It's like, it's not the perfect iteration because it was a sample and I made some tweaks after that, especially in the crotch area, but it kind of works for that purpose. So in some ways, sometimes I'm actually able to wear the sample as like my stay at home things.
Well, I mean, we do have a YouTube channel, so you can see our faces here. But I am wearing, in the Zoom meetings when they are sitting in their pajama pants, I am wearing a Fieldfare joggers as well, a sample. Grey melange, pretty, but it has white anchor print all over, like very nautical themed. Like, you don't want to... I'm a little bit embarrassed because these are now my only Fieldfare joggers that I have left. The other ones are totally worn out. So when I have them on at home and then my kids' friends' parents come and collect their kids, and I'm like, yeah, I do work in the fashion business. Can you tell? Oh. It's like so embarrassing. Like, I need to make some new, nicer looking joggers that I can have at home, because you can all of a sudden get spontaneous guests. So I mean, you don't want to have too weird things at home.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's so funny that you mentioned that. I'm wearing actually the girly top, which is one of my patterns. That is the finished iteration. But I before we started recording, I was to the gym and I'm wearing a sample of the Isla leggings that I made in 2018. So they're 7 years old. And again, not the finished product. There was a couple of minor issues with those as well. But I'm like, because we're just filming from the waist and up.
Yeah, but it's also great to be able to wear. I mean,
Yeah.
to have semi-wearable samples. Like, yes, you can
Yeah.
wear them. Like, visually, it's maybe not the color or print that you
Mm.
would have chosen, but like still, you can wear them a lot, and also really get a feel of like how is the fit, how is it working, how is it.
Mm.
The full day working, not just 2 minutes in the fitting room. So yeah, I do have wearable samples as well. Questionable, maybe wearable samples, but to me, fine.
Yeah, but that's good to hear, and I sometimes like to think about that because, as we talked about previously, with that we design with ourselves in mind in a way because it's kind of things that we want to wear and enjoy wearing, and because you're going to work with a pattern for such a long time, it feels important that you're very like emotionally connected to the end product. So again, it does make sense that we actually end up wearing a lot of the stuff that we made. As like
Yeah, it would be kind
stay
of
at
sad
home wear
otherwise.
that even turn out like, as you say, the fabric choices. I mean, those are a little bit questionable for sure. I have a couple of girly tops as well that it's a little bit, the fabric's not the greatest, but I wear them at home and just
Yeah, it's good to have those samples that you can wear whenever. But I wonder also if this is like a bigger trend in society, and I would love to hear your listeners, what are your take on this? Because I mean, I think it has been quite a lot of interior wise cleaning out trends now to minimalistic, more less stuff in your home. So I mean, it of course reflects us as well in our garments, in wardrobes. But I mean, there have been several TV shows. I mean, a couple of years old now, but this like, was it Mari Kondo? Does it spark joy? Otherwise, clean it out, or these kind of cleaning out your home TV shows. So I think it's like it's a trend now. For several years, it has been like this movement of trying to get rid of things, and I wonder if it's a little bit generational as well, because I mean, my parents' generation, they collected more things. I mean, also back in the days, things were more expensive. It had better quality, so you could collect them in another sense. Today, with, I mean, H&M, IKEA, it's not really made to wear for generations. Like, this is, you give to your grandchild, kind of. We're not there anymore, unfortunately.
No.
Unfortunately, I'm like, yeah. It's a
it's
little
a
bit
different
sad,
area.
but things are changing. So yeah, I think it's everywhere, not just when it comes to garments, clothes, how to do that, but also in general.
Yeah, it's very true, and I feel also a lot of people now are more movable or mobile, meaning that you maybe move from one place to another. You don't stay at the same place, and at least here in Sweden, at least if you live in a larger city, and I would say in general, it's very expensive to buy a house. So especially if you live in a larger city, you usually live quite small. I mean, for instance, I have 2 kids, and we couldn't afford to buy an apartment, so we lived in a rental apartment that was two-bedroom apartment, 4 people, 2 grown up and 2 kids, and that was the way it was. So that also means that you're not able to do all that kind of collection that we were able to do. People that maybe were previously, when you bought a house or you got a house and you stay there until maybe you went into a retirement home or even until you passed away. So it's definitely very different now. But I'm also curious, speaking about the trend thing, because I think maybe I feel that also, I think there's one of that part that's a little bit problematic to me as well, because it kind of says that you should always optimize and you should always look for new things, or so in a way it kind of fosters that kind of throwaway culture in a way. because you have to, it doesn't
Yeah,
spark
I mean,
joy. So then it's not like really wearable. And at least here in Scandinavia, the interior trend, it's like a massive. I mean, today you have to have like a, I'm calling quotation mark, nice home to be like seen as a functional person in society. So you have to have, again, like quotation mark, good taste, if you know what I mean. So there is a pressure to like keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, and that. So to me, that kind of goes a little bit hand in hand. That the home is a constant improvement project. That you can't be happy with what you got. You always have to change and there is we have in Sweden, we still have quite a few successful bloggers actually that are able to have a full-time income, and one of those, if you're Swedish you probably know who I'm talking about, but she's a daughter of two famous artists, so I just want to say that. And I think she has moved a couple of times, and I think in the last 5 years she has maybe switched sofas at the same amount of sofas as years has gone by. I think she has a new living room sofa every year, and I'm sure it's resold or regifted or something like that. But it's that to me tells it, like, I mean, if my parents, especially my grandparents, that someone switched a sofa every single year. I mean, because I remember when I went to my grandfather, they had like the same sofa for 20 or even more years. It looks like it was decades old even back then, because you bought a sofa and then you had a sofa. It wasn't an expression of who are you, and
no, and it's
so I think it's
a
easy
little
to
bit funny
get
because
caught up in that.
I think I know who you're talking about. I also have heard that discussion about the sofa, but I think she did buy secondhand all the time and resell them and buy a new secondhand sofa, and like before figuring out which one was the right one, or like it wasn't comfortable or whatever. I'm not really sure. But so then it's like, well, at least it's secondhand then. Good, like it's not thrown away when used, like sold again. But this constant renewal thing, and I mean, that's all businesses, like they need to sell stuff. That's how the society works. So sure, if the trend is minimalistic or less, but they always need to sell something. So it is a little, it's. But I also have seen like a reaction to this clean out trend. Another Swedish blogger, Underbara Clara, and also I have just an author here in my village that I've met a couple of times, that they talk about how important the things are and how valuable they are and how they value every single item, and they don't want to throw them out. They have really, I mean, it's another style, really, I mean, beautiful interior decoration, of course, too many things for my taste, but I also love their, like, we should value our things. We shouldn't just throw them away. We should collect, not maybe collect, but value what you have, and not just replace it with another one every single year. Like, I do love that what do you say, anti-trend towards the trend, like reaction.
Because almost like an anti-trend. I get what you mean. Is that because as you mentioned, the Underbara Clara, she is definitely, I would say, if you look at her home, she's a maximalist. And we're gonna link to these two bloggers, because they are definitely two. They're both in the second-hand space, I would say, but they're very different in their approaches. And Underbara Clara, that you're mentioning, she lives in an old house that is basically furnished with just thrift store finds and heirlooms, and it's a very maximalistic look. So it's very opposite towards a lot of other trends in Scandinavia. But as you say, every piece is given a very dedicated place, and there's a soul and a personality to our home, I think, that I find really enticing, even though I mostly also have secondhand things in my home, because I love retro stuff as well. I mean, you would be hard pressed to find anything new looking or modern.
No, same home, here. Still. I mean, same. Both in my closet and also in our house. So, like most things are secondhand.
Yeah, so don't come to us for the latest fashion, the furniture trends. I mean, that's probably not us, but I agree with you that I think it's very refreshing to see, and I I wish because I've thought about that. I was speaking about sofas because I bought my sofa, which is a really good quality IKEA bed sofa in 2005 when I separated. And I still have it, but I changed cover once because you can get those. There are a couple of different companies that makes these for all IKEA furniture as well. And I'm like, that to me it symbolizes so many things now. I'm like, how can I get rid of that? And I'm very conflicted about it because I feel like it's part of my personality. It's been basically through my entire adult life, and I feel very attached to this sofa, even though it's too small. It's just a two-seater, but I don't know how to get rid of it. So for me to switch sofas like every other year, I don't know. I feel so daunted. How do you get into it at home? I guess you pay someone, but
Yeah, no, again, like also, yeah, with these sentimental things, like I also have a really hard time getting rid of things. That's also why I'm very, very careful with buying things, because I know how hard it is for me to get rid of them, and then they are just accumulating and collecting, and it just becomes too much. So I like to say, like, stop them before they even enters my home. But some things you need to buy. And also, yeah, the sofa we bought when we moved to our house, it's also secondhand, found on Facebook Marketplace. We are going to buy a new one soon. It's so worn down, it's not really that comfortable, and the cushions are like sliding everywhere. It's not staying in the right place. But we have, not small children, but the youngest is 5. We still can have accidents in the sofa, like, a glass of water is, so I'm fine with it's good for now sofa. But when the kids are a little bit older, we can have nicer things area in the future, or era. I'm longing for that one, but we are not there yet. We'll see when we enter that one, maybe when they move out, who knows. But
who knows?
Who knows.
Yeah. Speaking of sofa, because I used a joke that if I would ever like date a tall guy, I had to buy a new sofa. And now I'm dating someone who's over 190 centimeters, which I think is about 6 feet 1 inches. And it's like, it's so funny trying to see him like utilizing the sofa. Now he's like, I don't know. And I have so many cushions. He's like, there are so many cushions. I'm like, yeah, I know. But it's a great sofa bed. I can have guests in my small apartment because I have this wonderful sofa bed.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely attachment to certain things for sure. And so even though we talked about, purging stuff, we clearly also have a sentimental relationship to a lot of stuff.
Like, when they come these trends, like our parents' generation, that did certain things that affected us in a certain way, so now we do this. How are our children gonna behave in the future? Like, if we get rid of everything now, like, we don't, I mean, I do save toys and stuff from them when they were small, so I can give them when they are adult. But I don't think it's going to be the same amount that I have gotten from my parents. So I wonder how it will affect our children. Will they start collecting more in the future, since we are trying to get rid of things? Because it usually is the opposite of what our parents have done. Yeah. It goes back and forth.
It's going to be really interesting to see. And I will say, because I do have grown-ups that have furnished their own homes, and they are not that interested in the interior. would say that, I mean, I guess it all depends on what kind of circuit you're in, like a friend group or whatever kind of values you have. But both, I mean, they like nice stuff, but they don't really want to spend money on interiors. It feels like so they do buy a lot of secondhand, and I would also see I think that's my guess is that they will switch stuff regular, but a lot of that will be part of a second-hand circuit. So they might switch sofa. They might not keep the same sofa in 20 years, but the next one is going to be off Facebook Marketplace, for instance. So I think they will not. So my kids, I don't think they will be as attached to things in that sense. But who knows? I mean, your kids are younger. Maybe there's been a switch again that...
And I mean, when you're young, I remember when I moved out to my first apartment. I mean, I knew that this is not going to be my forever home. Obviously, it's a rental, and so I moved many times. And you don't buy that expensive things, maybe also when you are that younger. But the funny thing is, like, when I moved to Stockholm for the first time. On my own, I did buy a dining room. I mean, chairs and table that you needed. But it was always with in mind, like, yes, this I will have for a short period of time right now from IKEA. Like, it's not something that, you know, you invest in that sense. Like, for me, it still was expensive. Just came out of school, just started work. I still have that table and chairs. The chairs are like falling apart almost. It's like one chair is towards the wall. It was like, don't use this because not the cushion, but the thing that you sit on is loose. You like danger. So, but again, I don't want to buy new right now because my son can sit with a pen and like draw on the table. It's like, no, don't. But that table, it's on its,
last leg, literally.
Literally, yes. So then it's like, well, I mean, it's not the end of it if it draws something or has something sharp that marks the table. It has lived its life, like it has 20 plus years. But I do look forward to soon have something nicer.
I think we have to now remember for this episode, because we started to talk about should we throw away fabric scraps, to talking about how relationships to furniture in our homes. And I think we're going to have to post some photos over at this Instagram account, Stitching Tales, of the table on the last leg, and also my micro sofa.
Yeah, definitely.
And a few other things. I also have an old dining table as well I think it's originally from the 50s or the 60s. But again, it's so worn down that I feel like it's so good, because if I spill something, I'm like, I don't care, because
but it's kind of nice to have that also.
It's
like
so because if I had spent like
your home.
Exactly, because if I had spent money on designer stuff, I would be so anxious about, spilling some blueberry on the wood or something like that. So or wine or whatever. I'm like, no. So, and I guess so it's good perhaps not to be so precious about everything. And I'm like, maybe that's the lesson here, that we, regardless if it's actually fabrics or notions, maybe we don't have to be precious about everything. But it's always good, to think about those things. Because basically to bring home, from the point we started with, the people that I admire, but I have no idea how they do this, is those that are, okay, I'm gonna sew a jacket, so I'm gonna buy the lining, the zipper, the interfacing, and whatnot, and so and when the project's done, everything is like gone. I'm like, oh, here's a good deal for 3 zippers, or those buttons, they make me so inspired. And so that's probably one of my like Achilles heels, that I have a tendency. I'm going to post a picture of my button collection as well. I don't know. It's just I was at the store the other day, and I stopped myself, and I was like, yeah, maybe in the future I will make a duffel coat. So I should get those like little duffel buttons. I'm like,
just
yeah,
in
but
case.
maybe just in case. And like, yeah, but Johanna, maybe you should actually start sewing that before you start getting the buttons. It's like when you buy things, like you think you manifest your future, and that's a trap that I definitely fall into that. I need to get like under check. I mean, I have to start control that much more, because I will admit that I have a tendency of shopping pretty notions without having a dedicated project for it. How are you about those things? Do you buy nice to have stuff for future things?
Again, yeah, if it's on sale,
Mm.
like fabric with quality, like this is gonna make a great sample in the future, then I can, just because it's a good price. Yeah, I mean, of course, I have bought nice fabrics as well, just because I love them and maybe have not done anything with them. But I'm quite good at not spending money. I like to save.
Good.
So I don't have that tendency, unless it's seeds to my garden. I have so many seeds that I could have 50 gardens like the one I'm having right now. Just placed another order yesterday with more seeds. I'm like, where are you gonna plant all of this? Like, that's a future me problem. But so yeah, I don't have a problem with hoarding fabrics or collecting fabrics. I mean, it sounds like for a couple of people it's a hobby on its own to collect nice fabrics. Yeah. It's like collecting dreams. I have that with seeds, so I do understand that behavior. I have it as well, just with some other things. But if you are a fabric collector, don't be afraid to use your nice fabrics. They are not going to do anything for you unless, of course, brings you joy by looking at them in your wardrobe or in your shelves. But don't be afraid to use them. They are meant to be used, so you can use them. Yes, please do.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because sometimes I feel there's almost a fear in cutting in two.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
totally
everything is
well.
depending on it. I can definitely understand that. I do have a couple of those fabrics as well, and I agree with you. It's just do it. You don't have to be afraid of doing it, and it's probably like, I mean, they don't make me super happy just lying in a plastic bin underneath a lot of other fabrics. In my case, I don't feel super inspired by them until I bring them out, and So I will also say with fabrics, sometimes you do find those rare fabrics. For instance, finding maybe I have a couple of rules. For instance, if I find like 100% wool knit fabric, which is quite rare, at a good quality stuff at a good price, I kind of buy it, because I know that sooner or later I will use that fabric. But definitely, I also have I think my biggest weakness is prints. That I kind of just see the print and I don't realize that maybe I don't need this fabric. I just
fall in love with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, it's the first where you have to use rose-colored glasses. That's how I think about prints. And then reality hits me, and that's not really my person, or in this case, not really my fabric, just that I wanted the print. Oh yeah, so I mean, definitely, yeah. So with seeds, you're with seeds. I do have sewing.
Yeah,
sewing issues.
But just as we mentioned, when cutting out the nice fabric, make samples before, so you are 100% sure of the fit, of the style. So you have a test garment. Then you will be so much more secure before you start cutting out your real fancy fabric. So don't skip the test samples, even if they take a little bit longer, but then you practice as well all the sewing techniques and everything. So don't skip the samples and cut your fancy fabric.
Yay! What a great final words. I think we were all over the place in this episode, but I hope someone was like...
I hope somebody can relate to us, and please share on our Instagram or send us a mail or something like... Are we the only ones who are having these internal struggles?
Yeah, I kind of love doing this kind of episode, because it's so nice to just show it all up there. I'm like, yeah, we don't have all the answers, and sometimes... I don't even follow my own principles, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. All right. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and of course, please hit subscribe. You'll see the video version over at YouTube at Stitch and Tales Pod, and of course, the Instagram account is Stitch and Tales Pod. We're definitely going to post some photos of things that we talked about in this episode. We'll see. Maybe I can get my tall boyfriend to pose in the sofa. Just kidding. He probably won't be too thrilled about that. All right then. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Hjerpe. Bye bye.
Bye bye.